I want to say first off, thank you so much for having ANY in this space for DACA and undocumented students. ANY is very proud of the work that we've done with our students in our program. And our DACA students are some of the hardest working, and they're able to secure some of the coolest internships within the program. So I'm very excited about bringing some more information into the program. Before I go a little deep into some of the curriculum and how we're able to achieve the things that we do here in ANY, I wanted to first introduce myself, and so prospective fellows could have an understanding of who they want to reach out to when it comes to questions about the program. So my name is Danny Gebra. I'm the new Career Success Coordinator with ANY. I'm a recent graduate of the University of Southern California, where I majored in public health and minored in politics. And I am a first-generation low-income student myself. So I know firsthand the troubles and the difficulties first-generation students have when it comes to navigating the college process without a mentor, without a solid support system, and just even trying to figure out a world that wasn't built for them in the first place, right? And we're very proud of the other staff in our program that also kind of share that background as well. Unfortunately, Elisa wasn't able to join, but a colleague of mine that's also a coordinator is a CPS alumni herself, was also first generation. And so we both have a very firm understanding of the questions that first generation students have. With that in mind, I would love to kind of go into specifically how ANY accomplishes the things that we do. So first of all, ANY is an organization that is committed to advancing the economic mobility of ambitious first-generation college students. And we accomplish this goal through our intensive fellowship program, our intensive 2-year career development program for our first-generation students. Now, this program, which I'll go more into specifics a little later, is wide-ranging and truly holistic in its range of benefits that we provide for our students. Before I can kind of discuss some of that, though, I wanted to kind of recalibrate our expectations when it comes to understanding what exactly first-generation students are encountering when they first come into college. Well, first-generation students are the first in their families not only to graduate from college, but the first to balance academic priorities, to choose majors, to start the transfer process. You name it, they're probably the first in their family to do it, right? So all of this is quite remarkable in terms of how they're having to figure out this all on their own. And so this is specifically the reason why ANY first came about as an organization, to kind of fill in these gaps of information so that our first generation students are, not, coming to the professional world with any misgivings about their background or even just like a lack of preparation. So how do we address this lack of preparation in this huge hole of their support network? Well, we accomplish this with 4 main components of our fellowship program. The first is our career development program. Our career development program is something that we're extremely proud of, and this curriculum is wide-ranging and quite extensive in how we prepare our students for their eventual workplaces. So once a month on a Saturday, our fellows are, encountering topics like how to build a resume, cover letter preparation, interviewing tips. This past workshop we just did was on public speaking and how, effective presentation comes about with, proper preparation and, all of the things that come into that. Our year 2 curriculum is focused more on things as once they get their first internship, what are the things they need to know as they kind of get more integrated within a workplace. So we cover the unwritten rules of the workplace, for example. So we talk about company culture, or we talk about how to network to advance their career beyond the one that they're already doing. We really try our best with our curriculum to really provide them the tips and tricks and background to this professional world that they didn't have access to because, of either their guardian's lack of background or any other significant adult figures in their life. Well, to also cover that kind of lack of mentorship or lack of adult support figures, another component of our program we're really proud of is our one-on-one mentorship. So every mentor within our program is going to be paired with a volunteer mentor coach who walks them through every single thing that I just talked about. So for example, we require our our fellows to have updated resumes, and we check those let's say twice a semester, right? So our mentor coaches, when they're doing their weekly meetings with their fellows, are maybe covering resumes during a particular check-in. Maybe they're helping them, clean up their cover letter right before they apply to an internship. Our mentor coaches are there to help our fellows through any academic, personal, or professional obstacle. And we're very proud of both the frequency and in-depth relationships these mentors and their fellows end up building that type of relationship. A third component of our program that we're extremely proud of is our alumni fellow network, and also just the network of first generation students that inevitably is created when you have such rich backgrounds of these students of these backgrounds. So our fellows, once they graduate from the program, are not just former ANY fellows, they are ANY alumni, and that means something. So when a prospective fellow is interested in a different industry than the one they've been previously trained, they can absolutely set up an informational interview with a ANY fellow from 2017 or something at a company that they're interested in. Or they can lean on a fellow to help them give a referral to another opportunity. We're really proud of this network because, obviously these first generation students don't have a network within their own family or circle of friends. So we try to substitute our ANY family in there. And lastly, when it comes to holistic support, ANY really tries our best to, cover every manner of, let's say, personal or financial obstacle that our fellows might be experiencing. So we have a $2,000 professional development grant. It's for those up to 2 years, up to $2,000. And that grant can be used to things for applying, for certification courses. They can use the money for that. They could buy professional clothes, books, laptops, anything relating to the professional world, they can use that money for. So we're extremely happy to be offering our fellows with that. Additionally, when fellows are encountering any emergency situations as well, let's say a eviction or something like that, they can apply for our Sholem grant, which is used for emergency grants in those types of situations. So we try our best to truly kind of cover the wide swath of obstacles that our prospective fellows might be encountering. And a last thing I also want to point when it comes to transfer to support as well, we help transfer students as well, especially ones that are transferring from 2-year institutions to 4-year institutions. So we help them through the transfer process as well in terms of collecting all of that material. Well, I know that was a lot of a mouthful when it comes to all of the components of the program. You're probably wondering, how successful are we at the things that we're setting out to do? Not to toot our own horn, but we are quite successful. 90% of our fellows secure career trajectory internships. Now, this is significant because, this is work that is directly pertinent to what they want to do in the future. No shade to retail. I worked retail, but this isn't, them working like some, entry-level position somewhere else. This is them working at Fortune 500s like Deloitte, Goldman Sachs. We just closed our Pfizer internship circuit. So, we're very proud of the opportunities our fellows are getting. And as you can see in these pictures, they are, working at pretty prestigious organizations. Next, you're probably wondering, how successful is your graduation rate of your fellows? Well, 91% of our fellows graduate from a 4-year institution within 6 years. Now, this is extremely significant because when you compare the national graduation rate of first-generation students, we observe 11% of first-generation students end up graduating from a school within 6 years. So 11 to 91%, you can absolutely see, it doesn't take a statistical mastermind to understand the significant difference our fellows are having in terms of, the holistic support, the guidance through, the academic and professional obstacles. And just frankly, our fellows are just, absolutely more motivated knowing that they have a collection of fellows and in their cohort that are going through the same things they are, and they can lean on them to kind of maneuver these, difficult obstacles. So we're very proud of this graduation rate, and, we only want it to go up. Well, lastly, obviously graduation isn't the last thing to keep in mind. It's whether or not we can actually prepare them for an opportunity after school. Well, this opportunity after school, we are 82% successful with our former alumni who secure employment within graduation within 6 months. So Obviously, like I said, we are extremely successful in what we do, and we're very proud in what we do. So yeah, our fellow alumni are well set up to succeed in any career that they choose afterward. So lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about eligibility, especially considering the special group of students that we're addressing here today. Well, first of all, our eligibility is first generation college student. That is the most important thing. And I want to say when it comes to this first generation eligibility, we are a little bit different than other first generation orgs. I want to first reference and say, students with parents with associate's degrees, you are still eligible for our program when it comes to first generation status. So as long as your guardian or your parents or whoever is in charge of taking care of you is not a bachelor degree holder, you are eligible as a first generation student. So I hope that clears up anything for anyone. Additionally, our program caters to first generation college freshmen and college sophomores, meaning that they're rising sophomores and rising juniors. And you will be graduating in 2024 or later. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't accept, juniors, for example, who are in the transfer process and therefore might need to do an extra year or so. So we added this bit about graduating in 2024 or later because it's extremely important that our students have at least 2 years within the program. This third bit is especially relevant, and I'll be going over that in my next slide when it comes to the FAQ, but we need our fellows to be eligible to work full-time in the US. That is just, non-negotiable, specifically because the partner companies that we're sending our prospective fellows to, they just need to be eligible to work at these facilities. Another requirement is the low income by the state HUD standards. Obviously I understand the specific group of students that we're speaking to. Usually we use Pell Grant or some type of student aid report from their FAFSA, but as long as your family is low income considering by the state housing and urban development standards, you are eligible to go in the program. And if you have any questions about eligibility, we can speak one-on-one together. And lastly, they just need to be able to attend regular Saturday workshops. And we say regular. This is previously back when our curriculum was 2 times a month. Now, we're trying to allocate for time, and now we made it for 1 time a month. So it's a really light time obligation for our future fellows. So we hope that encourage some type of interest more so than the time constraints from before. Moving on, I wanted to speak a little bit about some of the FAQs or some of the questions and concerns that are specific to this group of students. So one question I often get is, does citizenship affect my application in any way? Yes, it does, but not in the way that you might think. We are absolutely happy to accept DACA students. Our problem is we also need that work certification as well. So students must be either a US citizen, a DACA recipient, or a permanent resident. If you are in the process of securing a visa or something and your final date of receiving, like let's say you get your visa application finished and approved at the end of July, for example, and the application process is going on now. ANY is more than happy to wait for you to kind of receive your approval from the program, if that makes sense. So, as long as you submit your application now and you for sure get your visa or some type of status approved before the start of the academic year, then you are A-OK and you are eligible for the program. I hope that might clear it up for anybody in that specific case. Another question that I get from concerned students as well is, when it comes to funding, is it given via direct deposit? Our funding is not. Our funding is given via PEX debit cards. So, we give fellows prepaid cards that we fill at the start of every academic semester, and then we prepay that for each time. So it's 4 separate times through their 2-year calendar window of being a fellow that they get money allocated to those cards. And then lastly, like I said before, income eligibility, obviously, they're not able to use the FAFSA requirements and stuff. I wanted to really emphasize, just use the Illinois Housing and Urban Development Standards, but they can be a little tricky to understand. I really want to emphasize here that I am more than willing to offer my time, in a meeting, email, or text or call to kind of discuss that eligibility a little bit deeper if need be. But lastly, our application materials are really quite light. We have an online application that, is just asking for basic demographic information, your interest in the program, or your extracurricular opportunities. And then my little nitpick about this is I don't really like to think of them as essays. They're extremely short answers, because we're really just trying to ascertain how would you use this professional development program for the future in the communities in which you work. It's really intuitive once you begin the question, and it doesn't take a lot of effort once you kind of get into the whys of why you want to pursue the work that you do. But if students have any questions, I am more than happy to be speaking to them in a one-on-one setting to talk about how to guide their answers to these questions. And lastly, this is optional, but they can submit a letter of recommendation as well. Obviously, that first deadline that you see on the screen, the priority deadline, that has passed, but our final deadline is actually April 15th. So students have about 3 weeks to submit their application materials to the program. Our finalist interviews will be in May and selection will be in June. But if there's any questions in terms of application timeline or the process itself, please feel free to send those students my way or any questions my way, as I am the fellow recruitment lead at my site. So I want to open the floor and give anybody an opportunity for questions if they might have them.
Danny, you said students can reach out directly to you with any questions. Would you mind dropping in your contact information in the chat so everyone has that available for students?
Absolutely. And what I'll do also is I'm going to be sending a follow-up email to you with any relevant links, upcoming information sessions. I want to just say here, thank you for asking that. If you guys have any further questions about the program, I host informational interviews every other Thursday at 4 o'clock. I'll be sending the registration links for those. Additionally, we have a super cool opportunity for prospective fellows to come this Saturday. We have an open house for prospective fellows. So at 9:30 this Saturday, we'll be sending a link out to people that are interested in the program, and we'll be doing a short informational session into more of the specifics into the program. And then what's really cool about this open house is that prospective fellows, if you'd like, can stay after and observe how a workshop is conducted for current fellows. So you can stay the whole time. We're going over public speaking and effective presentations. And so I think it's really worthwhile to see firsthand how our curriculum is conducted, the breakout sessions, see how our fellows kind of interact with each other. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. So I'll be sending more information on that event as well to you, Kelly.
That sounds great. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
If you want to stop the share, I'll see if there's any other questions from any of our participants.
Yes, please.
Great. And so feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself or drop a question in the chat if anyone has any questions about America Needs You for Danny. Great. Thanks, Danny. So we've got his email in the chat for you all. And then again, I mentioned earlier that Dominican has had many students participate in America Needs You and have had wonderful experiences with the program. So feel free to reach out to me or Maria if you do have questions from the college side about the program. I'm happy to connect you with some of the students who've gone through it as well. We've had great feedback from our students.
Thank you for saying that. Unfortunately, some of the tech-related issues, I was going to have a couple current fellows who, obviously came from this university and are undocumented themselves. So, yeah, we've had several students that have come both from here and, of a similar background and have enjoyed the program to the fullest. So just to add that, if you have any further questions or even want to talk to a current fellow, I can arrange that type of interaction as well.
Great, that's fantastic. Well, Danny, thank you again for your presentation today, and thank you all in the audience. We have our next presentation at 11 o'clock. We will keep this Zoom open, and we will see you all back at 11 to talk about developing an entrepreneurial mindset.